The Chicago Bears, battered and bruised, enter Week 3 not merely searching for their first victory of the season, but clinging to something far more fragile: the faint outline of identity, a sense of who they are and what they might yet become. And that search takes on a desperate new dimension as they prepare to face the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, under the glare of Soldier Field's lights, where history feels heavy, hope feels fragile, and every mistake promises to be amplified in a theater of national scrutiny. For this is not just another matchup, not just another line on the schedule, but a moment that threatens to define trajectories, careers, and legacies. A collision of narratives drenched in suspense and tinged with revenge, because while the Bears reel from the humiliation of surrendering 50 points to the Detroit Lions in Week 2, a defeat so lopsided that even hardened fans could barely muster boos through their disbelief, they now welcome back a familiar figure cloaked in opposing colors: Matt Eberflus, their former head coach, who now returns as defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. And though his tenure in Chicago ended in disappointment, dysfunction, and ultimately dismissal, his presence on the other sideline injects this contest with a bitter irony. For he is no longer the man tasked with fixing the Bears' myriad problems, but instead the one who might exploit them, his knowledge of the franchise's weaknesses perhaps still sharp, his desire to prove his exile unjust burning quietly beneath the calm exterior of a coach who has been given new life in Dallas. Yet this irony cuts both ways, for the Cowboys' defense he inherits is not the steel curtain of NFL lore, no suffocating unit destined to terrify quarterbacks weekly, but instead a group that, just 1 week earlier, surrendered 450 passing yards to Russell Wilson, their vulnerabilities laid bare for all to see. A reminder that even the proud star of Dallas can be tarnished, though in the unforgiving calculus of football matchups, even a flawed Cowboys defense seems formidable compared to a Bears offense that still cannot find rhythm, cohesion, or confidence. Led by rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, whose raw talent burns undeniable, yet whose assimilation into Ben Johnson's offensive system has been halting, hesitant, marked by flashes of potential, dimmed by inconsistency. The kind of inconsistency that leaves fans and analysts alike wondering whether he will be overwhelmed under the primetime lights or rise to the occasion with the kind of singular performance that alters narratives in an instant. And while Williams shoulders the hopes of a restless city, he does so with a supporting cast that inspires little fear. No Malik Neighbors stretching defenses the way the Giants' rookie phenom can. No reliable home run threat to scare coordinators into soft coverages. Only a patchwork group of skill players struggling for chemistry, struggling to create separation, struggling to deliver on the promise that this offense could finally escape mediocrity. And as if those challenges weren't enough, Chicago's backfield weapon, DeAndre Swift, looms as questionable, his health status unresolved, his availability uncertain, and without him, the Bears' already fragile running game risks collapsing altogether, leaving Williams to carry even more responsibility against a Cowboys defense that, while inconsistent, is still opportunistic, still capable of seizing mistakes and turning them into quick strikes, still equipped with enough speed to close gaps and force errors. And so the tension grows heavier, for this game does not simply pit offense versus defense, it pits inexperience against experience, desperation against determination, narrative against narrative, with every storyline intertwining to heighten suspense. Eberflus's revenge tour, Caleb Williams' trial by fire, Dak Prescott's pursuit of offensive redemption, and a Bears defense so decimated by injuries that its very capacity to compete feels in doubt. For the injury report released ahead of this contest reads less like a tactical update and more like a medical tragedy. 8 defenders listed, 5 already ruled out, among them key figures in a secondary that now must face one of the league's most dangerous quarterback-receiver trios with backup-caliber talent and dwindling confidence. A unit that just allowed Jared Goff and J.J. McCarthy to win back-to-back NFC Offensive Player of the Week honors by carving them apart, daring Dak to join the parade, daring him to pile on yards, touchdowns, and accolades at their expense. And Dak, for all his critics, is precisely the type of quarterback who can, especially when armed with CeeDee Lamb, with George Pickens, with an offensive line sturdy enough to buy him time, though not without vulnerabilities of its own. For with center Cooper Beebe sidelined on IR, backup Brock Hoffman must step into the fray, and it is here, in the trenches, where Chicago's faintest glimmers of hope reside, because Gervon Dexter, the young nose tackle, has been tasked with seizing this rare mismatch, tasked with driving pressure up the middle, collapsing Prescott's pocket, forcing the Cowboys' quarterback off rhythm, and perhaps, if fate permits, creating the kind of disruption that can swing a game's momentum in a heartbeat. Yet even this hope is fragile, for Dexter has yet to prove he can dominate consistently. And if he fails, if the pass rush remains as impotent as it has through 2 weeks, if Chicago once again cannot pressure with four, then Prescott will orchestrate freely, carving a defense already stripped of its best cornerbacks, already gasping for stability, already teetering on collapse. And so we return to the great paradox of this matchup, the cruel symmetry of football, where both teams carry flaws. Both teams carry doubts, but only one carries momentum. Only one carries belief. Only one has found ways to win. For Dallas, despite surrendering yards to Wilson, enters this game buoyed by a thrilling overtime win against the Giants, buoyed by an opening week performance that saw them stymie the Eagles in the second half, buoyed by the steady leadership of Prescott and the undeniable talent of Lamb and Pickens. While Chicago stumbles in battered and demoralized, their 0-2 record not merely a statistic, but a weight pressing down on every player, every coach, every fan, a reminder of familiar patterns, familiar collapses, familiar despair, and while Soldier Field has seen many dark days, the possibility looms that Sunday will add another to the ledger, for analysts already predict doom. Renner foreseeing a blowout, Breach calling for Dallas by 3, but admitting that the Bears' injury report alone is enough to disqualify them from serious consideration. And yet, in football, certainty is never absolute, and it is precisely this sliver of uncertainty that gives the game its pulse. For what if Caleb Williams rises? What if he delivers the kind of transcendent performance that makes Chicago forget its defensive woes? What if Swift defies the injury report and gashes Dallas on the ground? What if Dexter does exploit Hoffman and wrecks the pocket repeatedly? What if Soldier Field roars to life with turnovers, big plays, sudden swings? What if the very cruelty of football, its randomness, its chaos, tilts in favor of the underdog, creating not another chapter of despair but a story of improbable resilience, the kind of story that reminds us why the game is played on the field and not on paper? Still, the more likely script is one of suffering for Chicago, a script where Prescott throws for well over 300 yards, where Lamb and Pickens torch an undermanned secondary, where Eberflus smiles quietly as his defense limits his former team, not because his unit is flawless, but because the Bears remain too flawed to punish it, a script where Swift is bottled up,